This is Anja Notanja Asks, an original radio show, episode 1. Although, if I'm telling the truth, 10 years ago, in 2015, I lived in the suburbs far, far away in my parents' house, an adult not fully hatched from the nest. And I got curious. One day I signed up for a radio show in Riverwest, and I named the show Anja Notanja Asks over 10 years ago. Or maybe 10 years ago. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But it was an arts and culture show. It got me out of my parents' house. It got me driving into the city and interviewing all sorts of cool artists and writers and such. And eventually, it gave me the gumption to finish pecking out my egg and to scamper across the beach and to get into the ocean just like a small baby turtle. And pretty soon, I was swimming in the culture of Milwaukee. And I shed the show Anja Notanja Asks, but I never forgot it. And so, today, my friends, I've decided it's time to bring Anja Notanja Asks back. And on every Anja Notanja Asks episode, there will be an interview with an interesting person. And today's interesting person happens to be author Becky Franzel. Here she is. Hello, Becky.
Hello, Anja.
Hello. And since our audience has no idea who you are at all, could you please recount for them your life story with some raw, messy bits intact?
Well, I started off in the womb in 1991. It was a messy bit. You know, I was just learning how to swim. I was just learning how to get out there. It's when I wrote my first memoir. And then I was born in June 8th, 1991. From there, I kind of just swam around, did my thing, did a bunch of messy things. Wrote a book in 2017, wrote another book in 2018, wrote another book in 2022, and wrote another book this year.
That's very impressive because I have to say, I've also written books, but I've never finished them. And I would say that is probably 98% of authors are people who do not follow through and finish with the writing of their book. What gives you the gall and the gumption to run across the finish line?
Well, as soon as I say that I'm going to write a book, I am deathly terrified that somebody's going to ask how the book is going. So that's what gets me to the finish line, I'll be honest.
Are you working on a new book?
I am.
How's it going?
Gag. It's going great. It's going wonderful. It's going excellent.
Can you tell us about the history of your books? What were they called and what were they about?
Yeah. So my first book was called This Road Must Go Somewhere. So a little bit of a disclaimer. I had a partner who committed suicide. So it's basically a series of road trips following his suicide, just documenting that time and how it kind of flowed into my recovery. From there, I read the book. I was on tour with it. It's like, wow, this is still very unfinished. So I decided to write a series of essays, kind of saying like, well, what did I learn on that tour? So a lot of learning, growing, experimenting with my craft a little bit. So from there, I decided to write Death's Intern Derek, which is a complete left field. It's fiction. Basically, Death, the Grim Reaper, has an intern, and his name is Derek. It's about him navigating through the process of corporate death. What does that look like in the suburban town of Schuster? What does that look like with people he knows and things like that? And then from there, I wrote a short story book called Oh, Okay, I Think I Get It Now. And that's just a series of short stories and essays I've written throughout my life.
Yeah. Can you pass me that book? Ooh. Okay. So listeners, it has some heft, but it's also lightweight. Like it has a kind of weight that feels very approachable for a beach read or a light afternoon pre-nap read. And it has one of those covers that I think are popular now where it's like a little soft, and when you brush it, like your hand kind of takes the little fine velour fur of it and pushes it so that it's just very soft. And I'd say it's 11-point font, if I were to guess. And there's an inscription. This book is only for Anja. If you are not Anja, please return to Anja. Thanks, Becky. That's going to be very difficult once I die, eventually, many, many centuries from now.
Well, they just have to find a Anja, right?
That's true.
Like, it doesn't have to be you, Anja. It just has to be, like, just another Anja.
I just hate the thought that there are other Anjas out there, except the one time I met an Anja, it was a very pleasant experience, as opposed to when I meet the many Anyas out there who resent me for having this name. But anyways, you write a lot about death. Is there a lot of death in Oh, Okay, I Think It Now, which is the collection of short stories in my hand right now?
I would say it's about 50-50, but in my opinion, everything always has to do with death in a certain way, in that whether it's the death of a relationship, the death of a job, the death of an idea, the death of anything. So I like those moments in my writing where it's kind of like a crossroads. You're like, well, I guess that's done now, right?
Yes.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah, it's like that tarot card moment of when you get the death card, it's also the birth card.
Exactly.
Yes. Cool. What did writing this book of short stories teach you?
I was a really bad writer when I was 17, and I thought I was really good. So I think it was one of those, like, you always need to go back to your favorite work, right?
Are these books, are these stories from when you were 17?
There's the first one in there I wrote when I was 17, and I was like, oh, like, I've gotten this published before, like, I don't need to revisit it. Like, it's probably just plug and play. And I read it. I was like, holy cow. I put that a lot of places, and that's not done. So kind of a work as an evolving process, right?
Yeah. How old are you now, if I may ask?
I am 34.
34. And so that's twice 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How has your writing changed since you were 17?
I think I'm more direct in that I think when people first start writing, they use more words because they're still trying to figure out what they're saying, right? And anytime you're trying to figure out what you're saying, you kind of amble around it. Versus now, even though my stories are shorter, I feel like they say more and they get more to the point.
Yes.
And they're funnier, too. So.
Yes. And you write a lot of boring stuff during the day, too. Like, you are a writer for your day jobs, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, pencils are very exciting, very riveting. Lots of different point types, you know? No, that's a joke.
Yeah. Because you write product copy?
Yes. I write product copy on product pages on a website.
I've done that.
Yeah. It's a hoot and a holler.
Yeah. Yeah. So 50% of these stories have reverberations of death. What would you say are other themes in this collection?
For whatever reason, aliens. I don't know why it just kept coming up, but like aliens showing up on Earth and saying like, what are we doing here? Aliens trying to mimic humans, and the different foibles that come with that, with like the different atmospheric conditions. They can't really say the words like they thought they could on their planet, right?
You really relate to aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Especially after writing these stories, I think you will relate to them after reading them as well.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
So I did have a question for you. And you self-published this book, right?
Yes.
What is that process like?
I think it depends. If you have the community of people you want to work with, it can be awesome, right? Like Harrison Colby is the person who designed my book cover.
It's a beautiful cover.
It's stunning, right? And I usually work with an editor who I just know does good work, right? So if you have that team set, it's a dream. But it's not for everyone because you have to do your own fulfillment. You have to do, everything is on you. I personally like that just because you get to say what the final draft looks like, what the final cut looks like. You're the final take, right? Versus you kind of lose some of that when you're with a publishing house. But a publishing house does all the fulfillment. They have a whole team on staff. So that's kind of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. And then once the book is out in the world, I understand you go on book tours. Are you going to go on a book tour for this?
I'm hoping to. It'll probably be another ragtag where, like, if I'm in a city, I'll just contact the bookstores that I think look cool. And fingers crossed they'll go with me. Or coffee shops or things like that. Sometimes I sign in bars. Sometimes I sign in random used bookstores, shops, used clothes stores, kind of anywhere.
Mm-hmm. So you just set up a table and you have a pile of books and you start announcing to the shop like, hey, I am an author. Come here and buy my book.
Like bark or something, yeah.
Yeah.
So I usually try to do like a gag, because why would anybody come up to me? I'm just sitting there with like a pile of books that they don't know, right?
Yeah. So what's a gag you've done before?
So with my previous book, I toured with the Grim Reaper, and basically what he would do is he would predict people's deaths, and it was funny to watch people would be either like very scared of it, right? Or like little kids would come up and think it's the funniest thing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There was one guy who came up to me and was like, oh, no. But then he wasn't looking and he almost walked out into traffic and got hit by a car. And you were like, you got scared of the Grim Reaper and you almost got hit by a car. That's wild.
And was that what the Grim Reaper was going to write for him? Was he going to say you're going to get hit by a car from a fear of death?
Well, it was usually something goofy, like you tripped on your shoelaces, or like you forgot to check the time, or like we don't know. So I like to play with different elements of the story, I guess.
What did the Grim Reaper tell you for your death?
He never told me. Or it would change every single time. So depending on the city, I would usually pick a different Grim Reaper, right?
It'd be very concerning if the Grim Reaper in every city had the same death for you.
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, right?
Right?
And then what? So these are ordinary humans. They're not merely the Grim Reaper. What qualities does it take to be a Grim Reaper?
So for a while, I was just asking the bookshop, hey, is there any kid who stops in here pretty often, who just has a good relationship with the shop? So when I was in Buffalo, it was just a kid who was just in there often. And I asked him, hey, I'll pay you if you're the Grim Reaper for me for a day. And he was like really nervous at first, asking a lot of questions via email. And I was like, you just have to have fun with it. Like, as long as you feel comfortable with it, as long as you feel comfortable talking with people, I'll handle any awkward situations if people are weird, but as long as you have fun, and I'm fine with it. So that's kind of.
And does the Grim Reaper tell people how they die, or sing it, or draw them a picture?
So he's completely silent usually. So he talks. Usually they talk via hands, just because I found that's most comfortable for them. But there are either a series of cards that have the little Death Inc. logo on the back that have a typewritten, like, you'll be attacked by red-winged blackbirds, or you'll trip on the sidewalk, or he'll type one himself on a typewriter I bring with me.
Okay, so these are pre-written or composed on the spot. Got you. Okay. Yeah, so do you think you'll have any gags for this book? Oh, okay, I think I get it now, by Becky Franzel, a collection of short stories.
See, I'm still trying to figure it out. Usually it comes to me, but for some reason this one it's lagging. I think I might do, so I also host a writing group in the city, I forgot to mention that. So I might do something similar to that, where it's just like a group writing session where everyone can write a short story and share.
Yeah, recently you did a group writing session in my husband's bookshop, Voyager, during Bayview Gallery Night, but I didn't get to witness it because I was working. Can you describe that for me and the listeners? What did that look like? Because I understand there was a cult theme.
Yes, of course, yes. So everyone had capes. there were 3 different typewriters that people could write on. There were 3 different chalices. They could pick from it: person, place, problem. That'd be their prompt.
And these are just people coming in off the street or pre-assigned writers?
People coming from the street or coming off the street. And sometimes people would just get the prompts and they'd be like, I'm not doing that. And they would just put it in their pocket, right? Which was fun because then maybe they'll take it later and write something later. There was a little girl there who was just typing the entire time who wouldn't let me look at anything she was writing. So I'm very curious
secretive
about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty casual. It's pretty fun despite the culty atmosphere.
Yeah. And what give our listeners a prompt that you had recently at one of these groups that they could do at home. Give them a writing exercise.
All right. Let's do Stephen the gas station attendant is the person.
Okay, so write something about Stephen the gas station attendant.
Place, how about George Webb's After Hours? So that 1 minute between 12 and 12:01, I think it is.
Okay.
Problem, how about you just forgot to tie your shoes?
Okay. All right. So feel free to email us your stories about George, the gas station attendant at George Webb's between 12 and 1 when he forgot to tie his shoes.
Dun, dun, dun.
You can email those to subtleforcespod@gmail.com because I will tell you, listeners, that Anja Notanja Asks is an offshoot of the Subtle Forces podcast, which is a not regular podcast that is produced still whenever I feel like it. And I'll share those with Becky, and if she has any corrections or feedback, I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it seems like writing groups are very important to you. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think a writing group, writers are pretty insulated, right? We kind of just sit at a computer and we write these stories. And we kind of get into our own heads and our own little worlds. So it's kind of nice to have a group of people who aren't critiquing your story, but can provide really good feedback. Or people who are working on something who might be able to lend other perspectives and things like that. So I've been meeting with my writing group for about 9 years. We started at Collectivo and Sugar Maple. We've since moved to Lion's Tooth, which has been a great home for us.
How does someone join a writer's group or your writer's group?
For us, you can just show up at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday, and we'll let you in.
At Lion's Tooth?
At Lion's Tooth.
Okay. And then you offer prompts?
Yes. Or people can work on whatever they're working on. A lot of people just work on their own projects and they write, or they will read a chapter and say like, hey, what do you guys think? Okay, so now I'm going to flip open your book of short stories. I'm going to slap my finger down and I'm going to read whatever comes up. Uh-oh. I'm not following is the only thing I can think to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense because I just slapped my finger down in the middle of a story and I don't know what it's about. And the sentence itself said, I'm not following. That's actually kind of perfect. And I kind of love it. Yeah. Yeah. It's the only thing I can think to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, I'm not following. So I opened up the book. Wait, show me again. Show me again. I can't open it to the same. Okay, so Becky, you kind of know me a little bit. What's one thing you don't like about me? I would have to say probably it's like that walk you do. You know, the walk you do sometimes, not all the time, but it's like it's just a walk you do sometimes. I can't really describe it. Well, then what's the point for radio? You got to exactly. Yeah, you got to describe it. Well, I mean, I think the listeners will know the walk. We've all talked about it, listeners, right? Is it just a little too cocky or like it's not that, it's just awkward, you know? Awkward. It's like the way that your left leg kind of juts out. How terrible. I have a jutting left leg when I walk, but only sometimes. It's not all the time, and it's just when you're really nervous. And I'm sorry to be the first person to tell you that. The listeners, I'm so sorry. The cat's out of the bag. I'm sorry.
Well, I had to ask because I know you're a writer, and writers tend to be neurotic, and by neurotic I mean there's a lot of things that irritate you all the time, and so I thought I'd just cut to the chase and find out what bothers you about me.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah. So I understand that there's something called QWERTY Fest, a typewriter festival in Milwaukee that happens once a year because the typewriter was invented in Milwaukee. And you are a person who plays with typewriters and has invited the Death Reaper, or what is his name? The
Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper.
Also known as Steven sometimes.
Yes, Steven the Grim Reaper to write on typewriters. But what's your connection to QWERTY Fest? How are you involved?
Honestly, I think, so T used to run the counter when my writing group had somebody running the counter.
And T's one of the co-organizers.
T.
of QWERTY.
Krulos,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just mentioned that QWERTY Fest was happening. And I think he saw that I was using a typewriter for the Grim Reaper stuff. So he's like, hey, do you want to?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, absolutely. That's really cool. So since then, I mean.
Yeah. And are you going to do any segments in QWERTY Fest this year or anything like that?
I honestly haven't decided. I haven't thought that far ahead.
But
yet.
you're going to be part of the fundraiser
Yep.
this Sunday.
Yes.
Yes. So do we know the details for this Sunday?
I think it's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Sugar Maple.
1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Sugar Maple, and people will be typing poems on the spot to help benefit QWERTY Fest, and you will be one of them. Mm-hmm. I might be one of them if I can. My life is hard to predict at this particular week, but yes, that is an opportunity for people to meet Becky Franzel, or you can attend her writers group on Wednesdays at Lion's Tooth, and she will give you prompts, and you will get writing, and you will slowly, over the course of your life, get more and more to the point and less like an ambly 17-year-old writer.
Exactly.
Yes. So give us some advice for someone who is trying to write a book.
I would say have fun with it. I think my first few books, I was really in my head about it, and I was really concerned about what other people were going to think about it. But at the end of the day, if you read it and you really love it, somebody else will love it. As long as you get a good editor to make sure like there aren't any typos, that editor can really help you figure out what's awesome about it and what might need some work. So I would say have a ton of fun, get a good editor, and put it out there. Don't get scared of it.
And I understand you have an incentive process with belt buckles. Can you explain a little more about that?
So each book has a belt buckle attached to it. So this book had a pig. So I've since had to retire the pig belt buckle, which was devastating for me because I had really grown to love it. This book was kind of a beast, so it was a friend. Now I have one that says Ecological Chemical Co. Inc.
But you don't like it as much as the pig?
I don't.
So can you associate your next book with the pig?
No, it's against the rules. So, like you were saying that writers are neurotic. Usually I'm pretty chill, but with the rules that I set for myself, yeah.
And you wear this belt buckle each day until you have a new book?
I whenever I need a belt, that's the only belt that I wear.
Are you wearing a belt?
Not today. I know. I'm a jerk. I know.
Yeah. Well, you had to be business casual today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I had to write about pencils and stuff. So.
Yeah. But what makes product copy for pencils successful? What do you have to remember when writing about pencils?
Well, you have to remember the classic design. You know, like you got to think about that classic design. You got to think about the ergonomics of it. Like, is it built for little hands? You know, is it built for adult hands? You know, is it a sleek pencil? Is it a classic pencil? Is it number 2? Like, there's lots to think about.
Yeah. Is it compatible with Scantrons?
Exactly. Exactly. Can they take tests with this pencil?
Scantron compatible, sleek, number 2 pencil.
Mm-hmm. It's the difference between graduation and, maybe not graduating. So
Yes. If only you had had this pencil, you too would have graduated.
Exactly.
Yes. What is like the worst thing I could ask you for the remaining 5 minutes?
What's like my deal, man? Like, what's my deal? That'd probably be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is your deal? Because it's a very vague question, and it has an angry undertone. So it's essentially you asking me the same question that I asked you of like, what is the one thing you don't like about me? So now I must share, Becky, the one thing I don't like about you.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a deep, deep, intimidating breath. And now, Becky.
Yes.
I will enlighten you that I think your current belt buckle choice is indeed a step backwards.
I know. We all know it.
Yes.
We all know.
Yeah. And I am frankly worried about the content of this book because the belt buckle doesn't deliver.
Well, this one was the pig. This is the pig.
Okay, so it's the next book that you're working on that you're stressing out about now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And will that title of the next book be the same words on your belt buckle?
No. It's actually completely unrelated.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is your next book going to be fiction or nonfiction?
It'll be nonfiction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while since you've written nonfiction. Is it about your life or something else?
I believe it will be about vanner culture. So basically, I have a vintage van from the 1970s. With it comes, you get to know other people with older vans, and it's a whole thing. So kind of talking about that and women in the culture and where our place is, right?
Yeah.
Which is very interesting compared to other groups like chopper groups and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a more prominent role, would you say?
It's more egalitarian, I'd say. In that, like, when you show up, it's kind of more like, what's up? Versus, like, if you, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, but I'm excited to do more research on it. It needs a lot of research.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And how long have you been into van culture?
I bought one in 2019, right before COVID. So since then, I mean, it's just really interesting. So since about 2019, I've always liked them, though. I've always thought they were really cool.
Okay, so we got Becky Franzel, we got vans, we got typewriters, we got belt buckles, we have books. Is there anything coming up that I should ask you about that I haven't?
Yes. If you would also like to go to a really, really fun event that my writing group is hosting, you can go to Sugar Maple on July 2nd. There will be a band there called Pocket Vinyl who will be playing as we write. They're super cool. They're super fun. Very DIY. It'll be a ton of fun.
What day?
July 2nd, a Wednesday.
July 2nd, a Wednesday. And what time?
7 to 9 p.m.
All right. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week on Anja Notanja Asks.